Welcome to Learners Academy. I'm Mona Bhatia, and today I'm taking critical appreciation of the poem Nose vs. Eyes by William Cooper. Nose vs. Eyes is a satirical poem on the judiciary system. It makes fun of blind justice and it emphasizes on the lack of empathy and common sense in the judgment. So let's start with the critical appreciation. In the critical appreciation, we have to cover 6 topics. The poem, as I told you, makes a satirical remark on the judiciary system. The poet uses human organ as well as he uses humor in his poem, and he uses human organs as characters in the poem, and they are nose and eyes, and there is a dispute between nose and eyes. The dispute is over the ownership of the spectacles. Ear is given the work of a judge and tongue argues the case as a lawyer does. First in favor of the nose and then it does it for eyes. And the ear is convinced by the first argument of the tongue in favor of the nose and it passes judgment in favor of nose without considering the logic. And in journal life also, people believe in hearsay rather than the truth, and whatever people hear first, they tend to believe that, isn't it? Now we come to the poet. The poet is William Cooper. He studied law and also wrote religious hymns. He was not much inclined to the legal profession. He mocks at the stone blind justice in a very humorous way, as it is done in this poem. And also he had said once that happy is the man who knows just as much of the law to make himself a little merry now and then with the solemnity of the judicial proceedings. So these were the opinion for law by William Cooper. So let's come to the title of the poem. The title is very apt as the whole poem revolves around nose and eyes, and they are the key characters in the poem, right? And the poem is about the dispute between nose and eyes, but mind you, they are just representing the two sides or two clients, just like the normal hearing, and they are personified as if having a court trial. And a case between nose and eyes certainly draws everyone's attention, isn't it? And in the end, it makes us and everyone think that and ponder actually on the judgment given by the ears. And in many of the real life situations and cases also, due to lack of good convincing and emphasizing ability, the deserving people, they lose their cases and also their arguments, isn't it? So undeserving, they get their judgment in their favor, so which may be totally illogical. All right, so haven't you heard of cases where truthful people, they lose their case and to the manipulating and the crafty people, right? So that was all about the title of the poem. Now we come to theme. See, as I said, the theme is to draw our attention to the irrational and unsound judgments passed by the courts due to some cunning lawyers, and when the logic is taken it takes the back seat because everything is decided by the books of law while giving the judgment. The judge should consider actually many factors like emotion and proper reasoning, but they get carried away, easily because a cunning and a crafty lawyer is able to present his case in a very interesting and a better manner as compared to the truthful and logical ones. But the truthful and logical ones are not able to persuade their point. All right, and it is all about impressing the judge with your arguments. All right, so now we come to so that was the summary or the gist of the poem, and now we come to the poetic devices. The poem is in stanza of 4 lines, and each stanza has rhyming scheme, which is like first line and the third and the second and the fourth lines, they rhymes with each other, All right, the language. The poem has many words and phrases related to the legal fields, like your lordship, other words like decreed. The poet shows a trial anecdote wisely delineated by using the terms related to the legal or a judiciary system like lawyer, discerning, lordship, decreed, etc. All right. Now the poetic devices. The poem has many poetic, use many figures of speech. Like personification is majorly used in the poem. Because nose and eyes has been personified along with alliteration, repetition, tautology. I'm going to give you one example of each. The very first line of the poem is an inversion. Between nose and eyes, a strange contest arose. This is an example of inversion. Second, as wide as the ridge of the nose, there is a simile used here. There is a direct comparison between the size of the straddle and the size of the nose by the use of the word as wide as. So there is a simile. Designed to sit close to it just like a saddle. So there is a use of word like here, and the use of the word like means there is again a simile here. So it is comparing how the saddle sits on a horse in the same way the straddle of the specs sits on the nose, and it sits closely. So another figure of speech that I see here is that the visage or the countenance had not a nose. So there is a tautology here because the use of the same meaning word visage or countenance is used here. So now we see pray who could or who would wear spectacles then. There are three figures of speech used in this line. There is an interrogation wherein the poet is trying to make us think. He's not asking a question to get an answer, but he's trying to make us realize by asking a question. And then there is a repetition because the word who is used twice in the sentence, and also the letter W is used twice in the same sentence. So, and that was all about figures of speech. Special feature, yeah. The poem is very unique and it has used humor to attack on the judiciary system of that time. It uses humor and it uses human organs to convey the faults of the judiciary system, and there is a gentle criticism. It's not a very hard criticism, but it really makes a point without offending, but still bringing forth the points that the poet wants to convey, right? That's more important. So message of the poem, values and morals. Message is very loud and clear, and it hits the system of judiciary system gently so as to bring reforms in the system and use common sense and logic while giving a judgment, while delivering a judgment, right? Judges should keep in mind the human values and keep in mind that they should not arrive at decision based purely on law books, right? That's very important. The moral of the poem is one should not defy logic and should be rational while presenting a case and also while delivering the judgment. So now we come to the last topic of this critical appreciation, your opinion about the poem. See, every time I emphasize that you have to give your own opinion. You can listen to my opinion, but not necessarily my opinion will align with yours. So you have to be very specific, and I'm giving my opinion so that you get a fair idea how to write this part of the critical appreciation. But try and give your own opinion, be different and be unique. That is what is counted in in this part of the question. In my opinion, this poem hits the judiciary system gently without offending anybody, but in the real life situation, what happens? There are sometimes there are cases where somebody's life is at stake or their whole earning goes for a toss. Everybody cannot hire an expensive lawyer, and everybody doesn't have the access to expensive and very manipulating lawyers. So should that affect their case? So should they not get the rightful judgment? Just like the eyes in this poem is, denied the use of glasses because it lost its case, or should that really be considered? So what's your opinion? No. Or should the judgment be biased and not give fair judgment? The judge should not be biased, right? So there are certain loopholes, and in the law books, and lawyers smartly they justify their false claims using these loopholes. So the judgment and the judge should use their logic and wisdom while passing the verdict. And that is my opinion about the poem, and that the trial should be very fair and the judgment should be divine. It should help the needy. It should be helpful for the needy. It should not help the culprits. Alright? I hope you enjoyed watching this video. To make sure you don't miss any of my future videos, subscribe to my channel and click the notification bell also. You can also watch various grammar activities that I've uploaded recently on my channel, and also do share with your friends. And stay safe, keep learning till I see you again. Bye bye.